It seems to me that the first few letters, while interesting, don't reveal all that much more about the lore. What they do very well is give us an additional look at kind of who the individual banditos are, and some of lends a voice to some of those kind of nameless individuals we see in the background and throughout. Now, obviously, we don't know, there's different ones named here who have written these letters, and we don't know if they correspond to specific banditos we have seen in different music videos. For instance, at the end of The Outside and Nico and the Niners, we see a pair of kids who are older in The Outside, which itself, as an aside, raises interesting questions about the timeline there, but we can return to that later in a different video. But we also see, for instance, in navigating, Clancy and the Torchbearer are met by three different individuals who aren't named obviously either. So perhaps some of these letters are supposed to correspond with some of those. If this has been explicitly mentioned and I'm just missing something, I apologize. But from my understanding, we don't know, who this relates to in terms of the visual media or anything like that. And as they go through, they become increasingly more high stakes, if you will, because it goes from just having general conversations between different individuals to talking about and conspiring towards rebellion. And so, generally speaking, these are written between banditos outside the walls of Dima who have escaped to individuals who are still inside the city who they think they can turn to their side, bring over to the rebellion, or who they already know are contemplating joining this rebellion, but maybe don't know where to start, or are wavering a bit in their resolve to do so. In the Scaled and Icy era, we saw a lot of different technology, right, which the bishops were using to broadcast their message of propaganda, using, Tyler and Josh performing these different songs and so on. But they were, broadcasting this through the means of electronic technology, through television screens, a control room lit up. And it all looks a bit like vintage technology, if you will. Um, Obviously, it's happening in a fictional world, so who knows what years it would correspond to in terms of our real world or anything like that. But it is interesting to see that, they have telephones, they have right, I don't think they have cell phones or anything like that, but they do have telephones, as we see in Saturday, and they have different TV screens and so on and so forth. And obviously, from the looks of these, they have typewriters. But the primary form of communication is writing letters to one another and journaling and all of that. Beyond just anything else, this already kind of just gives us a better look at who these individuals are, a more tangible idea of what day to day life in Dima might be like. Now, to be fair, we can't say from this alone that the only means of communication that people have in this world is through the written word on physical paper. There is a chance they have something like, I don't know, emailing or something like that, but all those communications would be under the control and supervision of the bishops of Dima, so it wouldn't be safe to communicate that way. And so, journaling, writing letters, and things like that is a way to kind of get around it.